Hi, people of Facebook and the community out there. Tonight, I wanted to get on and riff a little bit around the secret to satisfaction and having satisfaction in your life and the things that you do. And key to this is one of the components of what I talk about when I speak in front of groups and the overall premise behind Living Blueprints. And it's the decide in the how advantage. And decide really has a lot to do with setting intention. But the more that we are aware of what we want and therefore deciding what we want for our life, and the more we line up to that, the more satisfaction we'll have in our life. So the key to success or satisfaction really is the two parts: knowing what you want, but then also being able to actually make that happen on a day-to-day basis, which gets into the habits and everything that is covered pretty much in the book, Optimized You. Those are the key components. But again, if you don't know what the big whys are or the deciding components or the intentions, it's kind of for naught. You end up kind of giving up on the habits because the why isn't big enough. So my first real awareness of any of this had to do when The Secret came into my life more than 10 years ago. And I actually have my friend Karen Dagnice to acknowledge for this because she gave me the DVD and I watched it many, many times. And a lot of people have a lot of opinions maybe about The Secret. If they actually watched it, they think it's a little weird. It was a little bit too commercialized. It felt a little infomercial-y in the way that they did it. But there's some really true, strong, overall universal principles in there that are super meaningful. And for me, one of them had to do around defining what I wanted in terms of a relationship in my life. And to be honest, I was 36 when I met my husband. It's not to say that there weren't boyfriends in my life. I didn't mind connecting with other human beings who happened to be male in terms of my own preference, but actually having a life partner was a very different type of thing. And it had never occurred to me, I never knew that I had anything to do with what I could bring into my life, that I could actually decide or I could have an intention around the type of partner that I wanted. And that probably was what manifested in the series of relationships that I had prior to meeting my husband. So part of The Secret, they talk about creating a vision board. And whenever you create a vision board, which is something that you're looking at every day to look at, the things that you kind of want in your life, you have to decide what to put on that vision board. You can't put every single possibility in a particular category of your life. You have to be very, very specific. And it was very difficult for me to envision the man that I wanted in my life. I didn't really have like a 31 point, scale system of what this person should look like or the characteristics he should have. The only thing that occurred to me was that this person needed to exude confidence. He needed to be confident. And that's it. I could not see anything else. And what happens when you actually put that out into the world, you decide what your thing is, your subconscious actually takes over at that point and you start seeing it in places that maybe you wouldn't have seen it before. It becomes conscious to you. This happens when you buy a new car. You've decided on the car you want. You may have even actually purchased it. And then all of a sudden you see that car everywhere. It's like it was there just as much as it was before. There were probably men exuding confidence before I had decided that that was key for me. But then it became very apparent when it actually did show up in my life. So that's where it first showed up for me. And to be honest and true, everything that I'm doing with Living Blueprints has to do with, they say you teach best what you most need to learn. I grew up with no concept of the fact that I could define what I wanted in my life. I really kind of thought that life happened to you. And this is what happens when people become very victim in their way that they talk about their life and their experience. They become victims of everything. And I was a victim of life. I had 5 majors as an undergrad. It took me 7 years to graduate from school. I had no idea that I could actually create a life on purpose. And, eventually things kind of worked out and I was able to, but we don't have to wait. We don't have to do it the Linda way. There's another approach. We can be much more intentional. So I wanted to get on and kind of describe what that experience has been like for me over the course of my life and getting more clear in the last 10 years on my ability to actually create what I want. And even if we have now very regimented lives, we have jobs, we have commitments, we have responsibilities, you still have the power to create within that existence. You have the power to think about how to be. My video paused for a moment. It says that I'm live right now. Anywho, that put me in a little bit of a distracted mode. I encourage folks to choose an intention and lean in that direction as it relates to various points in your life. And this can be lots of things. Some people talk about the F's in their life, like the 5 to 7 F's. You could think about friends, finance, family, fitness, faith, and fun. What do you want in those areas of your life? Decide. Set an intention. But don't make it so regimented. You can't have like 32 points. You just need to have like a big overarching idea of where you'd like your life to kind of be directed. And then use the Optimize You tips to get you there. And then reassess. 6 or 7 months later, a year later, 2 years later, things might shift for you and you want different things. And that's okay. That's what's cool. This is what life is about. It's about setting intentions and creating and living our lives on purpose. And I encourage you to do that and to be fully engaged and be satisfied. When you choose something and you work towards it, the world kind of fills in some of the blanks for you and life becomes much more satisfying. I hope you all have an excellent rest of the week. This is Hump Day. All right. Have a good one. Good night.